Low number one, the Raiders just
Oof.
completely unraveling against the Indianapolis Colts. Colts win 40-6, another 40 burger for this Colts team. And I mean, take a pick. Gino had a couple more picks today. What does he have? 9 on the season, potentially more.
Yeah,
And also, I got
yeah, it's not good.
the local like post game show, like the afternoon one here in Vegas. And there's like this old coach on, and he was just ripping the whole operation. He was like, what for? I don't even know who it was. And he was like, for what they give Pete Carroll, he's like, I can get you at least one win. He's like, I just ripping into him. But the Colts were finished in the red zone 6 times, scored a touchdown 6 times. I got to figure out who the guy was. It was hilarious. He like just did not hold back. Colts went 8 for 10 on third down, 8 drives, 24 first downs on those 8 drives, 57 plays and 40 points. Of course, they blocked a punt where AJ Cole, the punter for the Raiders, who's actually really good, got injured. Some brutal interceptions, including the one in the red zone where it got tipped up. Just other than that, how's the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Didn't get a sack on Daniel Jones once. What else you got on this game, Chuck? What else you want to pile on onto the Raiders right now?
It was kind of a weird game for the Raiders. And I like weird in the sense that what if I told you that on just straight up non-red zone plays, the Raiders had a passing success rate of 63% and overall success rate of 50% on non-red zone plays, right? So they like before they got to the 20, things were okay, but in the red zone they ran 14 plays for -8 yards in the red zone, and had the turnover you're talking about. I mean, just I don't know. It was another weird game because they have these moments sometimes where they look like a coherent offense and they're starting to move the ball, and then it just sputters out for one reason or another. Whether it's getting in the red zone, you can't figure it out, a third down, an interception. They just haven't been able to have like a really actually complete game on offense. But I think the real story with the Raiders is, holy crap, dude! Like, this defense can't do anything. They give up 6 straight touchdown drives. It's funny because the Colts' first drive was a 3-and-out. And then they scored 6 straight touchdown drives. And yeah, that was that. Yeah. Just really tough from the Raiders defense. I think even though the personnel wasn't great, I just kind of expected, when you look at what Pete Carroll has done, what Patrick Graham has done in his career, to be a little bit more organized, but they can't do anything. They stink.
Usually the units you look at are like, all right, how well coached this team is, whether it's fair or not, is the defense in totality, the offensive line, and special teams. It's kind of like, all right, how because those are units, so maybe you look at the back 7, they are sloppy. It's like Max Crosby make a play. If not, there's a guy out gap. They're over aggressive blitzers, like where they're just kind of like running. And so there's 2 guys in the gap and one gap's no one's in one gap. And then top of the, like I mentioned, the block punt, that red zone stat. You ever seen Cabin in the Woods?
No, I haven't.
Horror satire. Oh, recommend it. But Chris Hemsworth is in it, like right before he got famous, or right as he became Thor, and he's on a motorcycle and he hits a wall, and like a wall that you don't see, invisible wall, and that's the red zone for the Raiders today. Just hey, everything looked great, everything looked flying, soaring through the air, and they hit it. If you see the visual, it'd make more sense. Bowers was out today, it has to be mentioned, but it's still, I mean, it's just the structure of this offense just feels wonky. I think their passing game is really. I'm using wonky too much, but I think the passing game is just very much like too basic or too limited, but not in the sense of like they can't handle it, but more like, oh, we only need 3 plays for our menu. And I think that's kind of really hindering them if they get behind the sticks, which happens a lot because of what how the O-line's playing. So like you said, they have some nice moments. Like, I mean, shoot, watch Genty last week and then watch the moments with Bowers when he is healthy, and watch, Trey Tucker having some flash moments. He had another one today, but it's just, this whole team feels uneven and spotty and just kind of figuring out their identity and stuff. So it's just a blah performance, but man, the Colts just keep pounding people. They've become one of my favorite watches, which is just, I've done 2 180s on them. I mean, they play the Cardinals next week. So,
but I mean, as far as the Colts go, this is what good teams do to bad teams. Colts, they're good. They're a good team.
They're good.
The offense is structured well. I mean, Daniel Jones is playing good football. Jonathan Taylor is absolutely crushing it this year. This is a fun offense.
Yeah,
It's a good offense. It's a good football
it
team.
is.
I give up. I give up.
I know. I am enjoying watching them. I was highlighting Daniel Jones like ball placement throws. I'm like, oh my god, what is going? What happened? It's October 5th. It's not even like November. I'm like, I yield. Yeah, they got the Cardinals next. Then they host. I'm sorry. Then they play the Chargers. Then they host the Titans. Okay, wow, they got actually a pretty decent, relatively easy slate. At Steelers, host your Falcons, then at Chiefs. Okay, interesting Colts. Gonna keep the good times rolling. But yeah, the Raiders are kind of pretty disappointing. I wasn't super high on them, but I thought they'd be a lot more interesting. I thought they'd be doing so much cooler things, not just be Pete Carroll. Again, I've said this before. His teams is if you're going to make a mistake, make it fast. So we're just going to win with speed. Look how the Commanders play at times. They can be a little sloppy, but they overcome it because it's like guys are on the ball, guys are tipping up balls. Like stuff happens if we're just near the ball. No one's near the ball other than Max Crosby, and it just feels the rest of the guys. It's just there. I know.
Not even there.
Not very fun to watch. Yeah, I know. Yeah, not even there. Even there. Might as well not be there. And the offense is just. Gino's pressing and now he's just, and that's just a downward spiral there because you can't rely on the run game. So other than that, moving on to low number 2. This is, I don't know. I'm not really totally surprised by the result, but what's going on with this Jets defense? Because the offense has some moments, even if it is it's a little scattershot at times, but where is Aaron Glenn's defense? The Cowboys win 37-22. Yeah, and they fall to 0-5. They had a Dolphins game recently where they had good moments on offense, but then just I don't know on defense right now because they're just pretty bad, especially through the air. Because I think they're pretty predictable. But what'd you think about this game? I do think a high, if we did do a high on this game, is God dang that Cowboys run game can really go. I'm just saying, again, Clayton Adams gets a shout out, but man, it's fun watching that offense right now. But what'd you think about this game?
I guess I'm just a little confused that it's not more organized than it's been the Jets defense. Because I think it's fair to have been a little dubious about where the talent level was coming off of the end of the Joe Douglas regime. Because it was a very top heavy defense that had lost guys over the past few years. Like when Robert Saleh first got there and they're like a top 5 defense, a lot of those guys aren't there or have retired and moved on to new teams. So they're still rebuilding it. But man, like it just seems like they get shredded every week, and they don't really have a cohesive plan or identity of what they want to be on defense because. You still got Quinnen Williams, you still got Sauce Gardner, but it just doesn't seem to matter. And again today, Dak Prescott, it looked pretty easy for him. Javonte Williams had another big game. The interior offensive line was mashing, and they just look like helpless almost just to try and stop these other offenses, especially when it starts getting big and physical against them like Dallas could do today. So. Just a really, really bad, unorganized team. And I just thought that, even though Aaron Glenn's the first-time head coach, it would just look not this bad. I thought we thought they would be like a little bit more competitive, like one of these teams that could beat up on the good team, beat up on the bad teams and give good teams some trouble. But they're 0-5, and they truly just look like one of the worst teams in the league. And I think it's mostly their defense's fault why they look like that. Like the offense, they blew some opportunities last week against Miami, but you giving up 37 points? Come on, that's trash.
This is one where we always use success rate, explosive plays. That's like kind of the usual ones. But this is where like yards per play kind of tells the story. The Cowboys had 7.1 yards per play today, even though that the Jets overall had a better success rate and more explosive plays because it was just those doubles, 10-yard gain, 9-yard gain. 11-yard gain. So the ones that don't get are those 20-yard shots all the time, and it's not just a little 4 yards, it's those in between plays. And I thought, I looked it up. So after today, the Jets are 32nd in explosive passes allowed. There's 32 teams. 18.6 of pass attempts turn into explosive plays, gains of 16 yards or more. Then that's on top of the scrambles because they've allowed the most EPA to scrambles in the entire NFL this season. The 31st in e-paper dropback, So even though they're 19 success rate, they're just getting, when they do get popped, they get popped. It's like, and I've kind of keep saying this, is that Aaron Glenn's defense isn't very exotic, or slash Steve Wilkes. But what's funny is they actually kind of run the same stuff. It's quarters a man. And I keep saying this, but it's very true. And today, why that kind of matters when you go against a quarterback like Dak, who's seen everything. All right, I just played against a funky Packers defense that was just doing all this crazy stuff. All right, now I'm going against Jets team. Oh, I know what you're in every single snap. So then that's why Dak just peppers him the entire game. Like, I mean, it was just like he had the answers. I mean, Ryan Flournoy, who actually is pretty good, I want to get into him in a second, is going for 114 yards. But it was like, all right, quarters, boom, peppering this. All right, man, we're running this man beater, peppering this. Like, it's unfazed the entire day. He had a QBR of 87.8 today. Like he was lights out, like 4 touchdowns, obviously, but just like the underlying stats, they can run the ball like whenever they want. They're doing the a lot of stuff out of 2-back looks with and like, so today they had 12 plays out of 2-backs for 78 yards, 2 touchdowns and 50% success rate. They're doing some cool stuff in the passing game wise. They're doing I wanted to highlight this. It's a check, or a chip, where, a tight end's chipping and then they lead block for like the running back swing route. And so like teams are weaponizing that. And it was pretty cool. Like on a 3rd and 10, they did it to Hunter Lepke. And it's more like you're running the deep downfield plays, and that's just the underneath stuff. But like teams are really doing that. And I'm kind of digging it. The Packers have been doing it for years, but like the Bucs started doing it a bunch, and I just saw the Cowboys do it now. I'm like, yeah, I like that this is kind of proliferating a lot around the league, because now all the defenses think they got the chips down. And now the offense, right, like when you chip, you're only running this route, so we can just like negate you and do this. Now the offense has kind of got a new answer to it. So sorry, that was just like a little side rant about this, because I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, last thing. Yeah, sorry. I know. Perfect for a podcast. Ryan Flournoy, though, guys from Central Missouri, Iowa Western Community College, Southeast Missouri State, 6th-round pick in 2024. And he looks real. He looks pretty real. So I just wanted to give him a little bit of quasi shout out. But any other parting thoughts on this game?
No, I'm just disappointed that the Jets are this bad. Thought they'd be a little more interesting in this, but looks like another long rebuild for them.
I know. And the offense does good stuff. It's not all perfect all the time. So that's even more frustrating. It's like
they had almost a 50%
we predicted the offense perfectly. I want to say that we've nailed the offense. This is exactly what I was picturing with them.
Yeah, they had almost a 50% success rate today on offense. And even like when they were losing in the middle portion of the game or the first 3 quarters, they still almost had like a 44% success rate. So, like some of these teams, like they just got to finish these drives, man. You're moving, just punch it in. Come on, and especially if you're the Jets, like that was supposed to be your thing. You're supposed to be a lot better on the ground. And they fell 50 yards short of my rushing prediction today. But that was because they had to throw the ball so much in the second half. They still had 144 yards and only 22 attempts. So if we could have just got a few more rushing attempts, we would have been in there, man.
They're a perfect example of a turnover is more damaging to some teams than other teams. Like, and if they have a turnover, it's like, oh, that's it, game over. Like it's just we're done. Like, but some teams can survive. Like the Bills can survive a Josh Allen turnover because like, we'll get it back and we're going to score the next drive. So don't worry. Like, it's just how they're made up. So yeah, God, Mason Taylor got involved. All right, moving on to low number 3. Let's wrap this up. More teams that hit rock bottom for low number 3. We had the Dolphins. We mentioned them losing to the Panthers, who I said last week because their quarterback is unplayable. The Bengals defense actually put up a fight. They were trying some stuff, so I will give them credit, but Jake Browning's unplayable. And then the Ravens getting absolutely slaughtered by the Texans, whose offense, I know the Ravens defense is pretty bad right now, but Texas offensive line, not terrible the last couple of weeks. Might be the opponent, but actually some improvement. They ran a bunch of 3 receiver sets. I was really interested, so I'm going to look into them later this week. But any thoughts on these games, Chuck? Just some sloppy performances from a couple of these teams.
The Ravens, I don't really got too much to say there. I mean, they're so banged up on defense, and they weren't playing all that well even to start the year. I'm a little surprised the Texans scored 44, but I'm not surprised that like C.J. Stroud was able to play against a defense that's in that state. They just didn't look good. And then you got Cooper Rush started. I don't know how much you can expect there. I think the Dolphins, man, that is a terrible, terrible loss today to take, because they were in the first half. It looked like they were going to win by like 50 points. I didn't even really want to watch it because Bryce Young was so bad to start this game. The offense couldn't do anything. Miami was capitalizing on the big plays that the defense was making. And then slowly but surely, they just kind of let them nickel and dime their way back into the game. Before you look at, you have kind of a gotta have it drive, not even a kind of, just to try and tie the game after they had given up the lead to the Panthers at the end. Man, for Tua to be just that discombobulated on gotta have it situation, it's just another continuation of him not being the guy, and they got to figure out what to do with that after the season. But Tep McMillan, another great game today. He looks like he's going to be an absolute monster in the league. Bryce Young bounced back nice in the second half and kind of did make some plays to help them out and push them across the finish line. So after what looked like it was going to be one of the worst games of the week, the Panthers came back and dunked on the abysmal Miami Dolphins, who just have to hit the restart button if they can.
I mean, the Panthers had plays that looked, it was like a highlight reel play. So it was like Mitchell Evans, who I was like giving like a quasi shout out, but I wasn't expecting him to score. Like, you know, he's scoring a touchdown, a rookie tight end from Notre Dame. Rico Dowdle goes for 206 on the ground.
He's been pretty good for them. Rico Dowdle. Yeah.
Remember when we did our all kind of like average team and Brian Robinson was that? Dowdle's kind of that for me. Like, he's the cutoff between like the good and everybody else. Like, he's solid. Like, he's just a rock solid back. Yeah. No, he's a perfect fit for that offense. I mean, they can scout running backs. They got that going on in Carolina. Get these guys in free agency stuff. But no, Bryce Young did enough. Like you said, McMillan is just monstering everybody. They win 27-24. I thought Lions game was wonky. Like, saying that word again. But that game was just kind of like, felt like it was just going to be craziness like throughout. But again, I thought the Lions defense really, the Bengals defense had some nice moments, but like that Lions offense is just churning. Like, it's just like, all right, you got this. Here's Isaac Tesla for you. I'm sorry. Here's Sam Laporta. Here's David Montgomery throwing a touchdown. Like, it's just like it's just this offense just goes. And then, Texans, I think, are going to be one that, you know, it's going against that Ravens team, but they dropped a 40 burger. Good for them. Like that, the defense is still awesome. So like their defense can, even if the offense was the worst in the league, the defense could carry them in that division. Well, the division's a little more competitive now, but like the offense just being average is like huge. So, I mean, that's huge for them.